Hi, welcome. It is tremendous to have you all here for the 42nd annual Lester Breslow Distinguished Lecture. This is really a joyous day where we get to celebrate the extraordinary work of the students, celebrate our extraordinary faculty and what they're doing, and celebrate and induct alumni into the Hall of Fame, and I'm greatly looking forward to doing all of these together with the annual student competition. It's all in honor of Dr. Lester Breslow, and when you hear that he's referred to as Mr. Public Health and you hear that kind of phrase, you think, well, maybe that's hyperbole. Until you hear what he's done, and then it feels like you're hearing about 4 or 5 careers. So, Director of President Truman's Commission on Health Needs of the Nation, President of the American Public Health Association, Director of Public Health for the state of California, Dean and Professor of our school, and that's just getting it started. But that's only half of the story, and we're delighted that we're able to celebrate this with Deborah Breslow, his wife, who has extraordinary work in her own right and has been a tremendous partner in all this work. Please join me. Deborah, we are so grateful for all you do and have done and continue to do for the school and for public health throughout your career. So, I realize there's probably hardly anyone in the audience who doesn't know about Dr. Breslow's work, but for the one who may not, if there are any, really what's extraordinary about it is everything he found is now so foundational to what we do that we take the knowledge for granted. So that he was the first to show that things like exercising, getting enough sleep, eating well, abstaining from smoking, all of these combined together would have extraordinary impact on your health and enabling you to live longer. His work is with us today in so many ways, and it's with the school in so many ways. It forms the foundation of much of what we do. I'm just going to pick a couple examples of recent work that continues this tradition of understanding how the lives we lead are profoundly affecting health. So researchers at the school did a study that found that in California alone, there are 13 million adults who are estimated to have pre-diabetes. That's on top of the 2.5 million who've already been diagnosed. 15.5 million in California, that's 55% of the adults in our state. And yet, there's so much we can do about it, and so much of it has to do with what Dean Breslow began to show us in terms of how we eat, how we exercise, how we shape communities, how we shape neighborhoods to make all of this feasible. It also has to do with what our faculty and alumni and students are doing now. I'm just going to give 2 last examples. The Department of Environmental Health Sciences found that LA's cyclovia improved air quality in host neighborhoods measurably. Just one day of slowing traffic for bikes. Imagine what would happen if we actually created bike pathways through our city all the time. Our students put together in the stairs, so if you haven't been across to the entryway, please go across, see the art up the stairways and the signs that remind you that if you're waiting for the elevator, you're wasting your time. Redoing this stairway has led to a 30% sustained increase in stairs. If you're wondering how we know, we have a little electric counter at the door, so every time you walk through, you're counted on the ground floor. So these pieces that laid the groundwork through Breslow's career are things that we're continuing and continue to be essential to the health of the entire country. Moreover, if you look at what's happening globally, they're central to global health. I'll just make one last note on the diabetes trends. There was a recent report that showed over the past 30 years, rates have gone up fourfold globally. So just massive changes in this area. So each year we dedicate this day and this celebration of everyone to Breslow. We have 3 things we do. We're going to hear the Dean's distinguished lecture. We're going to hear from the students. The students have a writing competition. They were asked to answer, what do you see as priorities for addressing the public health impacts of climate change? It's hard to think of, you don't have to have been watching the Paris talks. It's hard to think of something that has more profound impact right now than climate change, and that will be our theme throughout the day this afternoon. But to share more about the contest and to introduce the students who are going to present today, I'd like to introduce my Associate Dean for Academic Programs, Hillary Godwin. She's a total force of nature on her own. Just a minute. A minute to embarrass her first before she comes up, just to say, what you should know about Hillary is there's nobody better to introduce the students because she's an award-winning teacher, she's incredibly innovative in her teaching, and she has launched a course. Today we're talking about climate change. She's launched a course where she collaboratively teaches with a colleague in Cameroon, so bringing students together from around the world, different perspectives to talk about this critical issue. So please join me in welcoming Hillary.
Thanks, Jody. So yeah, this is definitely a topic that's near and dear to my heart. As our president has said, I think we all want to be able to look our children and grandchildren in the eye and tell them that we did the best that we possibly could to be able to make the world safe, clean, and stable for them and their children and grandchildren. So with that in mind, as Jody said, we asked the students to provide us with their insights into priorities for addressing the public health impacts of climate change. And we had dozens of students who submitted essays. Each of the departments then selected the best essay from their own students in their department. And that student finalist will receive a $1,000 prize, courtesy of Molina Healthcare. And we're also going to have each of those 5 finalists present their winning concept to our audience and our expert panel of judges, and they will have the opportunity to win a $5,000 grand prize courtesy of the Lester Breslow Student Fellowship Fund, to which we're immensely grateful. And I have to say, nothing makes me prouder than to introduce our students. I also want to give a shout out to our alumnus, Wendy Levin, who spent countless hours working with the students individually and just has been tremendous.